All right. That was a little intro with Charlie Parker, jazz musician, amazing. I love jazz. And usually I play an entire song, but we have a very, very, very special culture class today. And in all of the culture classes that I've done in the COVID series, which started March 18th, has has evolved with the narrative and the theme every week, which we know about. But this is number 19. This is the 19th culture class. Now, of course, you all know that I've been doing this, for clients, and I have a premium offering where people come in and they have this every week, and it's mostly of me Zeitguiding. But I've been doing this for free and now pay as you can since March 18th. I do my Zeitguiding in the beginning, as most of you know, and then we have our hearts and minds segments with people who could really illuminate what's happening in their businesses so that we could all learn from them and connect with them. And today I am super, super, super thrilled and excited by having two of the most creative visionaries in the world, really, and they've been rewarded for it. We have Ron Simons here. Uh, Ron, hi, how are you?
Hey guys, how are you?
All right, so we're going to learn from you. And Ron, wow, you won more Tonys than any other African American producer, and four Tonys. And people probably know you mostly, and we'll get into your credits later, from Ain't Too Proud
Yeah.
and Color Purple. And we'll talk
Well,
about your
you know, I was an investor in Color Purple, not a producer. Just want to clarify that.
good. Well, we'll learn about the difference.
There we go.
Fantastic. Okay. Uh, but you're still involved. And you got me house seat. So that's all that matters, right? And then we have David Nevins, who I've known since, wow, for maybe 2003. And he knew me when many of you do know who've been on Culture Class. I used to do this for one person who was Academy Award and Emmy Award and Golden Globe Award and author Brian Grazer, spiky hair guy. And David was the head of TV. And amazing. He won Emmy for Arrested Development. And he would come by my office because he's even more curious than Brian. No, I'm just kidding. He would come to my office and he would always ask, "What's up? What's new? What's up? What's new?" So he and I have been friends and business colleagues since then. And I love his curiosity, and we're going to learn from you in a bit as well. And in the beginning, as you know, I always do my Zeitguide, but I'm not going to do it as long. See the tabs up on the top, which many of you have seen, because again, this is the 19th culture class. I have fewer tabs than usual because we want to really spend time on the hearts and minds of these great leaders. And so that being said, let's go on to the Zeitguiding. Before we move on, I just like to do a little bit of housekeeping. For those of you who don't know me, because you're here because of our Zeitguests and not for me, my name's Brad Grossman, and I have a company called Zeitguide. And basically, my job is to guide you through the Zeitgeist. Zeitgeist is a German word that means spirit of the times. And I used to do this in print, as a little cultural almanac, and then I've done it customized for companies and one-on-one like the people like Brian. But now with Culture Class, I've been doing this on Zoom like for the past couple years actually, and I tried to bring a bigger audience during COVID, and so this has been my summer semester and the COVID series beforehand, and it's what I do for clients on scale, and it's what I used to do with the actual language on emails or in print to life, and here we are. So this is culture class number 19. And as I said, uh, my job is to connect you to the world of ideas. And I look at the world in four particular buckets. I look at global trends, I look at tech trends, I look at consumer trends, and I look at the workplace. Well, now we don't really know what the workplace is. It's really in our homes. And for those of you who were on Culture Class a couple weeks ago, I talked about the new domesticity, which is, a reconstitution of the domesticity culture that was created in the 18th and 19th century. Think Dangerous Liaisons, think Jane Austen, where the woman who was a victim of a patriarchal society stayed at the home, the private space, and the man went to the public space, went to the city, make the bacon, and then come back. And that was the beginning of capitalism. But now we're in the new domesticity where there's a conflation of private and public space. And even though we have a lot more to do, there's, we definitely made a lot of progress since then in gender dynamics. So the other part of the new domesticity, many of you probably see me in a different location. I'm actually in the country right now. I left New York City. I'm in the Hudson Valley. This isn't my place, so and as you know, not my taste. But I'm somebody who's a victim of the new domesticity and grateful that I had the opportunity to be where I am right now to really, try to live in this horrific world that we're experiencing in the best way possible. So I'm going to zip through these things, but when I teach you these things and when we learn from our zeitguests, always remember that I'm just not throwing things at you. I'm trying to connect the dots, but it's all about cultural relevance. Take what you're learning, bring it back to your companies. I call that the take back to your colleagues. Tell them what you learned and see how it's relevant to your organization and to your own lives and your forward moving strategies. So because we don't have that much time, I'm not going to spend that much time on tech and work, but I just wanted to say that the cultural development of this week in technology that, if you were on one of my other culture classes, I would go more deeply, is that Mr. Zuckerberg goes to Washington, as you know. That's a play on the film. And it's not just him, it's also Bezos, it's also Tim Cook, and it's also Google CEO, who are there defending themselves to say that they aren't monopolistic. There are these antitrust investigations by Congress. But my insight or the take back that's keeping me up at night, that these are the biggest companies in the world. Okay, so maybe they should be broken up, right? Google has a monopoly on advertising. Facebook owns Instagram, has like 1.7 billion on Facebook, WhatsApp. They're kind of like the new type of telecommunication companies that were broken up. You have Jeff Bezos, which Amazon owns everything, and he owns the Washington Post. And then you have Apple, where Tim Cook is friends with or has a relationship with Trump, and is worth over $1 trillion in market cap. So, but the thing that really upsets me is that these are the biggest companies in the world. We're experiencing the biggest crisis in our lifetimes, maybe in the world, in history, and we need them. And now they have to deal with the antitrust accusations. So what that means to all of us is that, okay, so if they're preoccupied with dealing with defending themselves, all of us and other companies and all of us who even like are unemployed or furloughed really have the opportunity right now to save humanity or make a positive impact on the world. And one way is in the work bucket this week, I've been talking about how the cultural development is that Google decides to do work from home until summer 2020. It's 2021, sorry. That's what, see, we're so nimble. That's what you got to be today. And so that's a rude awakening for all of us, because they were the ones out of all the tech companies that weren't ready to go back to the office. But now that were ready to go back to the office, but now that they could declare this, the take back is that, gosh, this is going to be really hard for all of us. So many of us, can't stand our families right now. A lot of us, we have to deal with not having our kids go to school. There are many people I know, and most of my clients are HR executives, and they're dealing with how do we balance, how do we reduce stress, how do we deal with mental health, cabin fever. And there's a lot of people who are returning to addictive habits, which is really sad, because they stopped drinking or doing drugs because the world was their oyster in that community. So the next type of, I guess, benefits that's happening is that these companies have to really respond to all this, not to mention all the conversations about systemic racism in the future and furloughs and unemployment and even technology. HR people have the hardest job right now, and we have to have empathy. So every week, you also know in the global part, I have a theme every week. I'm going to scroll like the credits of a movie. I can't go into all these, but if you are on all our culture classes, you know what I had to say about all these themes. Last week, I said it's about to get worse because of the reduction of the $600 and everything else is that happening. But my job here is to inspire you. So the theme of this week is from cultural destruction to cultural renaissance. And we have two of the most creative people in the world and visionaries that could help us do that. They have a tough job, but we're relying on you. But we also have our job to do. I got inspired to come up with this theme after reading Lawrence Wright's piece in the New Yorker. I highly recommend it if there's one piece. And, you know, he basically was talking about the Black Plagues in the Middle Ages and how this, I'm going back to like the highlights, sorry, and how this basically, now I can't find it, sorry, created the Renaissance, right? It was this Black Plague basically, you know, forced people to come together. People from the Byzantine Empire came to Italy, and there was this crescendo of creativity that resulted, even though we know that Christopher Columbus pillaged, you know, the Native Americans, this was their creative opportunity to find a new world. We had Leonardo da Vinci, who did everything, and all these other amazing artists. We had science go, you know, to reconstitute. So the positive thing is that we are embarking on a cultural renaissance, hopefully. And I just thought that there was another thing, the same way that we had Amerigo Vespucci and Christopher Columbus and Magellan and all these cultural explorers from the Renaissance. You know, now we're seeing that from yesterday, NASA is building a robot for Mars, and this will pave the way for getting humans to the red planet. So again, this is our hopeful, you know, renaissance of humanity. So if we go to entertainment and consumers, the whole theme here is the pivot to the new renaissance. And my take back really is to be positive. And I'm going to just zip through these, and then we're going to get right to where we're, you know, going to go learning from our zeitgeist, as zeitgeist. So the Zeitguide to entertainment right now. Here are the problems, if you didn't know. But we're going to get more specific with our experts here, David and Ron. So we can't go to theaters, sports, or live events. We know that. Although internationally theaters are opening, Tenet, which Christopher Nolan's movie, which has kept being pushed to the, you know, to the future, is now going to be an international open. But here, that's not happening. I know many of us are in the United States, but those of you, I'm American, but I am learning about the globe, so I'm obviously giving that kind of lens. Production limitations because people need to social distance. Netflix, and hopefully David will discontinue this, is basically the king of the world in terms of the content, the number of people, but we have seen the rise in other streamers. There have been 4 additional ones, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Peacock, the NBC one just launched. We had Disney Plus, we had Netflix. Quibi didn't seem to be a successful one, which is Jeffrey Katzenberg's one with the mobile phones. So David, you're developing CBS All Access. Now I heard BritBox is a British international streaming service. They're going to go into 25 countries. So, you know, this whole streaming thing, but that's a problem. And especially since many of these companies, these entertainment companies, you know, really can't produce material. They have to be really creative to figure out how they could get content on their platform. And Netflix has so much. So yeah, there's a content paucity because we can't produce. It's on hold, but we're going to learn more about that from David. And then all these entertainers, what are they supposed to do? What are they supposed to make? You know, they're not working. And then the thing is, and I'm so blessed that we have 63 people in a world of Zoom fatigue on this call. Wow. And basically, you know, viewerships are actually starting to drop because they are really having, consumers are having a tough time with all these screens. So the pivot towards the new renaissance, I'll zip through this. Netflixification, we have these coming out, I said. Quarantine content, right? Which is pretty awesome. I think we started with Sesame Street, which is, I'm calling it Zoomification. And then I don't have time to play it, but again, those of you who contribute, you get all the links. We have Eric Whittaker, who basically had 17,572 singers from 129 countries come together to produce. It's amazing, but we don't have time to see it. The next thing is that celebrities have jumped to new platforms beyond social media. I'm calling this the real virtual reality. The best example is Travis Scott. Who performed on Fortnite. You can see that there's 83 million views on YouTube. But Jarvis, who's our associate producer, thanks Jarvis for being here. How many people saw it on Fortnite?
The day of, it was 1.7 million people.
That's crazy. So that's the renaissance of entertainment. You know, here you have a real type person trying to use another platform. Even fashion is having their moment. They just had a fashion week, which was all video. So people are getting really creative. It's a creative renaissance. The next theme I'm seeing is participatory media. So participatory media is like really what we learned from TikTok. There was a piece about these two young people who found each other and started doing these side by side, and I'm calling it participatory media. So a great example of that is right here, but it seems like it's not going. So you could just see from the screen that you have these two people side by side. So this new platform is bringing people together. Again, oh, here we go.
Here his ass about to start crying again.
Really sweet. So participatory media. Another example is Netflix doing these choose your own adventure things. That's participatory media in my view. Then you have personalized media as a way to make money. If you didn't know, there's this, sports people and entertainers can't make money, so they're going directly to consumers, and they're asking, Caitlyn Jenner for singing Happy Birthday, she gets $2,500. Here is another app called Community, where people could connect directly with consumers through, I got you, Jarvis, can connect directly and instantly with people that they care about the most. Another thing that's happening is that social media is a mess right now. So this is an opportunity for everybody else. In fact, Unilever, you've heard about the Facebook boycotts, but Unilever is actually halting, all their spending on social media. And then another thing that's happening in this cultural renaissance is this cultural reconstruction. This is a play on the real Reconstruction, which wasn't that successful after the Civil War. But now we're seeing a successful cultural reconstruction where Gone with the Wind is being reconstituted with a lecture before it. We saw Trader Joe's last week eliminate Trader Jose and Trader Ming's. And we even got Halle Berry deciding not to play a trans man in a movie after the transgender community was actually outraged by it. So that's the next theme in entertainment I've been talking about. Kit Kat action is in terms of how do you produce right now when you can't produce. And, we saw the Hamilton effect, right, where we saw everything. And Ron, you're probably more of an expert on this, about this platform, Broadway HD, where people could see Broadway shows online. I'm calling that the Hamilton effect. So if you can't produce, just show. CVS was the first brand to do this innovative ad where they sent cameras to people and in these kits to get people to produce on their own and coordinated through Zoom. And then here you have the Arby's CMO who just created a commercial where he was using animation to create, and also past content that they already had to create the ad. So you're seeing this innovation in content. There was a piece in the New York Times about how to shoot a sex scene in a pandemic. There are mannequins, again, animation. They might just show a hand that's being stroked. But again, from David, I want to know how we're going to reconstitute sex scenes. I want
you to know that all three of those shows in the headline are Viacom CBS shows. Shows the range of Bold and the Beautiful, Riverdale, and L Word Generation Q. That's quite a range of outcomes.
All right, so I was right. You're the true innovator in the business.
Yes,
So,
there you
all right.
go. That's with mannequins. That's going on my. That's going to go on my tombstone. Yes.
That's awesome. Okay, so we covered that. Amazing. And then the last thing I just want to say for the innovations in entertainment is that actors who can't work right now are doing amazing things. Here is a piece about the, Natalie Portman and other investors are coming together to bring women's soccer to Los Angeles. And they basically, if you see this highlight, that I'm proud to be part of this wonderful group working to bring a women's professional football club to Los Angeles. So here we are. And we all know from the stories that there hasn't been pay equity, and this organization is going to make sure that that happens. So to just end up with my little Zeitguiding is that, I'm saying that we're in the middle of a long second act of a 3-act movie. We had the beginning, which was in March. Holy shit, COVID. Now we're in the second. I thought it was just going to be in the summer, but it seems like it's going to go longer in the fall. And hopefully we'll get a third act, which is the resolution in a movie. Hopefully we won't get a sequel. But right now we're going to embark on the hope and inspiration on embarking on a new renaissance. So that's my Zeitguide of the week.